time to see what's got Britain talking this Wednesday morning with the help of Nicola Thorp and Nick Ferrari. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
And let's start with this. Piers Morgan this morning on Good Morning Britain revealed that Captain Tom Moore's family have been hurt by the online abuse that they suffered in the lead-up to his death yesterday. This is what he had to say.
The idea that people think it's OK to abuse the likes of Captain Tom and his family after they raised £39 million for this country, the NHS, that they think they can abuse Marcus Rashford and the black footballers, that they think they can do this with impunity and not have to suffer any consequences for it, and never think about the misery that they inflict on their targets. Well, I can tell you, you inflicted it on the Moore family. In their darkest moment, you really did make it worse, and I think that is despicable.
It's almost become a national sport now, and there were people who were angry because they had lost loved ones and hadn't been with them when they passed away in hospital, and so because you have a family now who are grieving, as so many families are up and down the country. This was a public figure, as Piers said there, an inspirational figure. Yeah. But it becomes then an anonymous national sport. You think you're clever. Some people just open up an account and tweet a couple of things and don't realise that you are actually stabbing someone in the heart.
And you're causing family untold grief at a time when they need as much support as they can. Piers is absolutely right in what he says. It wouldn't matter whether Sir Tom had raised £3 or £39 million. You don't go after a 100-year-old man. There was criticism of him going on his holiday. It was one thing he wanted to do. He didn't have the COVID vaccine because he was suffering from pneumonia. They did everything they possibly could. But we might get to another story, and I don't want to rain it, but just we might share this with the viewers. One of the people who's slaved day and night to try and keep us safe, I speak of Professor Chris Whitty. He was abused when he went for a sandwich in Westminster a couple of weeks ago.
We've actually got this video. It
speaks to the same thing, Philip. We're losing this. What are we doing? Attacking these people? This
is not only astonishing. It's also pretty damn creepy as well that someone decided that this was the thing to do.
Hey, big man. You're a liar. You're a liar. Man, he's a liar. He's a liar. You're a liar. You lie about the COVID-19 cases, man. Come on, man, stop lying to the TV, man. Liar.
It's a shame we blurred his face, because he should be on a billboard and it should just be idiot.
This is a bloke who's given up his spare times to give out the vaccinations. He's slaved away for 10 months with his colleagues. The reason many of us are sitting here now and our relatives are alive are because of the work this man has done.
So, Nicola, what have we become when this is when you can do that in the street to someone who's attempting to save us, and you can troll the family of a dying man? Where are we now? Because right at the very beginning of this, we all thought we were going to come out of this better people.
Yeah, and I still believe we will. Look, I think you're right that trolling has become almost a sport in this country. And the thing to remember about trolling is that it's never about the person that it's directed towards. Trolling is always about the issues that are going on within the troll, the person perpetuating them. So for the family of Tom Moore, it's not about necessarily what you've done. It's about the grief that other people are feeling and the kind of misguided direction that they want to put that grief towards. And to a 100-year-old man who's done so much for this country, that's not the place to do it. But I would say that holding people to account is a different thing altogether. And in this case, Piers Morgan is actually quite hypocritical in the way that he has called out trolls, because he is somebody who has perpetuated that culture. He has bullied people on a national scale. When he was newspaper editor, the front pages that I read when I was younger, seeing him bully people like Victoria Beckham for her anorexia, he's directed tweets and hate campaigns against people that I've known personally, and certain tweets towards myself. So I'd say that it's somebody like Piers Morgan who, yes, he's absolutely right in what he said this morning, but people like ourselves in the media who should be looking within and saying, OK, how are we perpetuating this when we have a platform and a responsibility to make the world a better place?
So I guess, I mean, do these trolls need to be held accountable? I mean, you can see that guy's face there. I mean, is it something...
Totally agree with you, by the way. What a shame we can't put it on every billboard in the country and identify that person.
He's a teenager. a teenager. I'm not defending what he did, but ultimately, again, if we just look at this one person, he's obviously very, very confused, and he's not through pure stupidity.
Nicola, he's abusive. He's not confused. He's abusive. And he's perpetuating a very dangerous... Let me just finish this. It's a very dangerous lie that this whole COVID thing is devised by governments or the CIA or whatever. We need people to be getting their vaccination. And people who perpetuate that are putting people's lives at risk, Nicola.
I completely agree with you on that one, but I don't think putting his face on a billboard, this is just one person. He isn't the only guy in the UK who believes that COVID is a lie. There are hundreds or thousands of people who believe this. You know, it's not just...
But he is the guy, apart from the fact they're wrong, but also he is the guy that confronted a man in the street in a very aggressive way. I mean, that's a frightening thing to happen to anybody.
Chris Whitty was queuing up to get something to eat, by the way, in case you're wondering why he was just standing there allowing this to happen. He's in the queue waiting to get his lunch, the poor guy. Also, the guy filming this isn't wearing a mask. No. He's quite close. I mean, it's... Even that on its own.
It's this TikTok culture and kids who are encouraged to try and take the most, you know, impressive videos that they can. And I imagine probably, I can't speak for this boy, I don't know him, but possibly in the back of his mind, there's a pressure to kind of go, oh, there's Chris Whitty, what can I do that would get a video to go viral? Which goes back
to my initial question, what have we become?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, Phillip, but hey, we can look back at what we've become and try and look forward to see what we can do to address it. And I don't think that, you know, putting this boy's face, I know you didn't possibly really mean it, but putting this boy's face on a billboard is the problem. It's not this one boy, it is the culture that we've created.
Let's move on to a slightly different story now. Nick, can you tell us what we know about this? Because there are two new mutant strains of COVID that have been detected in the UK, and so people are sort of calling for possible booster jabs that may be needed. What do we know about this? OK,
so the Health Secretary was on my radio show today. These are the 10 areas in England, and it is actually England, I'm not getting it, it's not the UK yet, and there is mobile mass testing going on. What we know is it's a so-called South African strain. It is far more virulent. As yet, we know that the AstraZeneca and the Pfizer jabs are effective against it. They're not as effective as they are against regular COVID or COVID-1, but we don't know how effective they are, and they're declining, and they won't know until they do more research. If you're living in these areas, parts of Hertfordshire, Liverpool, parts of London, if you're an essential worker, key worker, you should be leaving your home. If not, they are asking you, if you can, to just stay at home, to eat out of your pantry or your freezer or whatever it might be, because they want to try and contain it. Having said that, everybody agrees, including Matt Hancock, while he stresses it, it is hard to contain a virus. And this is why, if we now move to the Labour Party, they are saying we need to move towards a quarantine hotel. That is to say, travellers arriving in the UK would actually have to go to these hotels, much as you do in Australia and New Zealand, for a period of around...
From all countries, from all destinations, or just ones on the scene?
Well, initially it would be the so-called red list, but then they might roll it out, because sadly, if you're coming from South Africa, as we all know, you can reroute through Netherlands, you can reroute through Paris or whatever it might be. You'd be relying on people's honesty. So that's where Labour is.
And Nicola, you know, that seems to be a very reasonable point of view, because the delay that we've seen in the past, I mean, we're going to go on to some positives in a moment. You know, we are, you know, ahead of the curve in many ways. We were behind the curve initially, and where it would appear that we were being told to, you know, sort of shut the borders, lock it down, you know, it had got in. It was already in. If you shut the borders now, it's already here. We don't know, because we're in, you know, always looking back in time. What's happening now could be happening 10 days ago. It's already here.
I know, but that doesn't mean that we can't, as Keir Starmer suggested, bring in tougher measures to make sure that there will always be a new strain of a virus. We know this from the flu virus. Viruses mutate. And so the stricter measures they can bring in now, the better. And I just think that, you know, well, actually, in the past 24 hours, they announced that cases have gone down in 99% of the England, I believe, which is great news. It's positive news. But yeah, further restrictions are good for the meantime. So
let me just ask you then, in that case, if there is another mutant that we don't know what it does, because, you know, once again, many scientific people saying, we think the vaccine's okay here. We think this could be okay. Do you lock the borders every single time there's a mutant? Because that we don't know what it does. Let's shut the borders again. Everyone's in a hotel.
Are you asking me directly? I don't think I'm qualified to properly answer that question.
But you've got an opinion.
I have an opinion, which is do I have an opinion? Do you know what? I think it's dangerous to come up with an opinion that quickly on something so serious. But right now, what I'm fed and what I know is from what the politicians have said and what the political scientific advisors have said, that now is the time to do that. And I believe...
Well, Nick has an opinion and is prepared to say.
One of the keys is how quickly they can adapt the AstraZeneca and the Pfizer jab to take on and defeat the South African strain, because we've had the Kent strain and we seem, broadly speaking, to have that under control. We don't know yet about the South African strain. It is, and I can't even tell you how much longer research, but they are working on it. If it takes, and this sounds so easy sitting in a TV studio, a minor tweak of AstraZeneca to take care of the South African, I would think long and hard about opening these quarantine hotels, because we do want to get the country back to work. But to your point, if the drugs can't be tweaked, and this is a very simple word, and I apologise to the brilliant men and women who are doing this, I'm just going to say tweak. If it can't be adjusted, then we do have to think of what you're saying.
It's about delaying to give scientists the most time possible in order to develop these tweaks, as we said.
Absolutely. Let's be positive. Let's finally just be positive. Study has found that the Oxford vaccine blocks 2/3 of transmissions. That's great news. Yeah. We are world leaders in the vaccine rollout. There is good news.
This is tremendous news. Not only does it vaccinate you, it stops you spreading it, and it gets even better news for your viewers. Let me tell you. Initially, we were going to buy 30 million of these doses. Matt Hancock, and there will be many questions for him and the Prime Minister to answer, he actually said, no, I'm really going to invest in this. I'm going to block export until we've got 100 million doses. So 100 million doses of what is currently the strongest possible vaccine. Not only does it beat it, it stops resistance, are coming the way of all your viewers watching this. It is, there are terrible days and people have lost folk, I realise, but it is a positive day.
Yeah.